Welcome to my Gran Turismo 7 is quote-unquote the professional wrestling of simulation racing games. As y'all know, I've had my complaints about Gran Turismo 7 at this point through the years. And, well, there's still a whole heck of a heap of complaints. And a lot of those complaints are still the same complaints. But before I really get into this video, I will say, just like quote-unquote professional wrestling, aka fake wrestling, there is an exception to the norm that some people are lucky enough that they can have careers beyond professional wrestling. So, stuff like Gran Turismo and the Paralympics, because it would be done by time trial, it would be extremely hard to cheat, hack, glitch, whatever it may be with it. For those that can make successful careers as content creators that started on Gran Turismo that can do it outside of it and move on and stuff like that, that's great. But kind of like professional wrestling, it's the exception to the norm, and while sometimes the exceptions are worth talking about in an individual way, this video is more about how the norm is now, and, well, let's get into it, folks. To begin with, I don't watch any complete professional wrestling stuff. If I watch it, it's just the stupid highlights and best of and stuff like that. I don't care about the plot lines and stuff like that, but you could argue it's the same with GT7 as well. The last time I actually sat down and watched someone's entire live stream, or watched an entire 20-minute video from one of the content creators that have somewhere around between like 50,000 and 90,000 or so subscribers, is extremely rare. And again, there are exceptions to the norm like Super GT and Jimmy Broadbent and stuff who's been able to expand their career beyond Gran Turismo, but there's still a whole heck of a heap of creators, especially kind of in that like 5-digit range of subscribers, that their main focus is Gran Turismo. And honestly, for those type of people, they're kind of about the equivalent nowadays of professional wrestling. Some of them are bigger and smaller, but I mean, at this point, if y'all have noticed, about the only videos anymore are either money quote-unquote glitches, even though there are no glitches anymore. PD got rid of those glitches, but kept in a whole heck of a heap other. It's about, there's a dirty driver, and it's affecting the person racing. There's a dirty driver and they're reacting to it affecting someone else. Or it's clickbait and makes something look way better or worse than it really is. That's basically the extent of what the bulk of Gran Turismo content creation is now. And again, don't hate the players, hate the game, but honestly, yeah, you can hate some of them if you want. That's kind of another point of professional wrestling, is there are faces and there are heels. Faces are generally liked, heels are generally disliked. Some people you're meant to hate. Have you ever heard the name Kimi Velocini? Yeah, that's a heel. And, I mean, honestly, for quite a lot of the creators that are kind of medium-sized, and again, not quite like Super GT, Jimmy Broadbent, those that got lucky enough to have careers beyond Gran Turismo, they will be face turns sometimes, they will have heel turns sometimes. It really just depends on how the narrative goes, of how the game is looking at the current time, of how they're able to make the video get the most views possible, clickbait be damned, all of that. So yeah, there's face turns, there's heel turns, there's all of that. So you can kind of say hate the players because that's somewhat their narrative. Sometimes they want that. Any publicity is good publicity. Sometimes they embrace being a heel and then have a face turn one video later, but that's just sometimes how it is now. But mostly it's hate the game. This is all perfectly allowed in Gran Turismo. The way that I see it is that Gran Turismo no longer bans dirty drivers. Period. They don't. They threatened to do that in the past, and there were isolated incidents. It seems like people prove that some dirty drivers were banned and stuff. I haven't seen any actual definitive proof that dirty drivers have been banned from racing in the last few years. Like even the last year or so, GT Sport being the main game, I didn't see any definitive proof of it. So now we're to the point that I think Polyphony Digital just doesn't really care about banning dirty drivers. Yeah, where they ban people with dirty quote-unquote mouths, even though there's no mic, so it's all just in text, and the only way people can actually have text in a way that offends is by kind of circumventing the filters and making it honestly quite tame. Yeah, they get banned. Or, God forbid, have a marijuana leaf on a livery. No, that gets banned. But dirty drivers that affect the very best players in the entire world, no, that's perfectly fine. To be honest, I think Polyphony Digital, while they're not advertising, fully embracing it in terms of outwardly, behind the scenes, I think Polyphony Digital is perfectly fine with the state and of Gran Turismo 7 in terms of its publicity. When the vast majority of videos being made are clickbait, and really about the only ones that aren't clickbait are just so bizarre and stuff that shouldn't be happening in a real driving simulator anyway. It shouldn't be a good look, but it makes for a lot of views. And I'll be honest, just like professional wrestling, I can see why a whole heck of a heap of people find modern Gran Turismo and the content creation surrounding it interesting. I get it. I've been accused of clickbaiting in the past. Y'all can take that as you may, but I feel like I'm extremely tame in terms of clickbait, in terms of what happens now. If y'all consider me a clickbaiter, and some people with power do, even though they quite literally say they don't watch my videos, and then say that I clickbait and lie, even though they quite literally say in the same post that they don't watch my video. This is the world we live in now, folks. But anyway, yeah, I feel like I'm pretty cotton picking tame. And again, I'm not necessarily even going to name names, because some people are on a face turn, some people are on a heel turn. It's all just for the drama and the entertainment at this point. The actual racing, in terms of having a just quality race and quality competitions in a fair way, that's dead. Polyphony Digital killed it. People realized it was dead, and people are having to do different things now because of it. It's not any one particular fault at this point, honestly. And I would say most people realize this. More likely than not, we're to the point now where this is going to be the norm, at least for quite a while. I wouldn't necessarily say ever, but it's quite a while. So of course people are shifting how they make content. For a lot of people, it's their living. Anymore, it's not going to get views anymore, the quote-unquote good racing, because one, there's just very little of that left, and two, the quote-unquote entertainment is done better. There's no denying in real life, actual, real wrestling isn't as popular as quote-unquote professional, but really fake wrestling. There's no comparison, there's no doubt, that's extremely obvious. The fake stuff is more popular than the real stuff, and this is what's becoming of Gran Turismo as well. And again, I don't even really fault many of the content creators. I'll be quite frank, if you're watching at this point, here's actual spoiler stuff to come with me. As I'm actually thinking of doing we're actually bringing back a series from over 6 years ago and kind of doing it in a dramatized, professional wrestling-esque type thing where there's heels and faces and stuff like that. I'm not going to go too much into it, but I will say it's a series that hasn't been around in over 6 years. I'll put it like that. And I actually already have the first video planned and content for it and stuff like that, and even maybe already a little bit, at the bare minimum, planned for videos beyond just the first one as well. So Yeah, there's a spoiler of that. But at this point, like in the last video that I put, I'm done taking Gran Turismo seriously. Again, there are outliers, there are exceptions to the norm, but for the vast majority of times that I'm ever going to play Gran Turismo 7, I'll put it like that, I'll say for the foreseeable future, I'm not going to do it in a serious manner. I'll end off this video by saying as well that there's been a lot of information recently about the Toyota Cup, and that a lot of people who tried to race got error codes. That's been happening since Gran Turismo Sport closed beta. And it's arguably still as bad or worse than it's ever been. But that's not even the main part of the story, because it's been a story off and on for a very long time, over 6 years at this point. The main story is that because some others noticed that a top driver got an error code, that shows them as 0 points in the Toyota Cup and all of the cups the way that Gran Turismo does it, because instead of you taking the best race of the individual round, it only takes the last race of the individual round. So what's apparently, allegedly, some people tried to do is because they noticed one of the top drivers had 0 points in the next to the last race, they had to do the very last race of the night. So a lot of the other top drivers decided not to do the last race of the night. Thus, because there wasn't enough talent in the room, the driver who got screwed over by Polyphony Digital could no longer get enough points to get anything out of doing the last race of the night. Their DR and SR dropped because Polyphony Digital still hasn't fixed that. And even afterwards, they still didn't get enough points for it to be worthwhile, for it to benefit their overall score, because it's the best 3 out of 6 total rounds, blah, blah, blah. So now at this point, allegedly, and it seems like there's quite a lot of proof, I don't think Polyphony Digital is ever going to downright confirm it, but Polyphony Digital did actually confirm that their matchmaking is working as they planned. Take that as you may. They confirmed that. And we're to the point now where allegedly people are actually teaming up and making it to where they're ganging up on people, basically making to where they cannot make individual tournaments now. This seems to be the first time of it happening. But if this starts happening in the nation's manufacturers, all credibility for Gran Turismo is gone at this point. If people start teaming up to purposely knock others out of the tournament because they can exploit how the points system works, it's over. That's the end of Gran Turismo's credibility unless they completely revamp the entire system. The way that I see it at this point, the only way to play Gran Turismo and get fun out of it is casually. Doing stuff like what's shown on screen. If you like pro wrestling just for the stupidity and the randomness and the craziness, great. That's about as much as I could deal with it too. On an occasional manner. I can't really watch it for an hour straight or anything. Same with Gran Turismo 7. It's extremely hard for me to play Gran Turismo 7 for a long time straight without getting annoyed to the point of not feeling like playing it for weeks on end. It'd be the same if I'd watched quote-unquote pro wrestling. But I understand why people can do it for long periods of time. Same with Gran Turismo. For people that like the chaos, for people that like the drama, for people that like the manufactured storylines, that's what Gran Turismo is now. We're getting a movie. We know about the movie at this point. We've seen a lot about it. Depending on how the movie goes, I think is how much Polyphony Digital admits that Gran Turismo is the pro wrestling of simulation. That it's not like Gran Turismo in the past 10 years has been considered the greatest simulation racing game either. But at the very least, it was well respected and polished and all that. Why nobody ever considered it to have the best physics out there. No one can really deny that Gran Turismo had the pageantry and respect and heritage and all that, and then now all that's getting thrown away for the entertainment value. Don't hate the players as much as hating the game, but again, some players are meant to be hated. There are obvious heels at this point. But again, all this is manufactured. All this is entertainment. There's no reason whatsoever that Polyphony Digital has to keep it in this entertainment type way. They could easily make their games like it was even in early GT Sports, at the very least. They could sell your DR and SR as the race goes on. They could make it to where you can actually have a reason to play quote-unquote daily races. One of those would actually make them truly daily. There's no reason right now to play any of the daily races because there's too much of a risk on your DR and SR. They could do a lot of things to make the game actually want to play it. At this point, they only take your best round, or best attempt of the round. How about this? Or actually, I got that backwards. They only take your last attempt of the round. They should take your best attempt of the round, because that way it would give incentive to play every slot. The players would make more in-game currency. Theoretically, a lot of players would gradually level up, because it would have them more experience, more reason to play. So a lot of the more casual players would gradually actually get better at the game, and to me that seems like a very much good thing. But no, they don't do that. Polyphony Digital just cares about the microtransactions at this point, and they realize that the narrative at this point of the game is in an entertainment manner in which will probably, in the long term, even make them more microtransactions. Yes, I know the WWE got sold recently, blah blah blah, but it's undeniable still extremely profitable. And while I sort of kind of wish Gran Turismo would get sold too at this point, there's undeniable that it's still pretty cotton-picking profitable. And maybe with all the crazy microtransactions and stuff now, it is now more than ever. I hate to say that, and I really hope it ain't. I hope this ain't the business model of the future, but I understand why some people like it, and I understand why Polyphony Digital would love it if it's making them a lot of money. At this point, it's extremely obvious that Gran Turismo 7 is the pro wrestling of simulation esports, and it's going to continue for the foreseeable future. Especially with the writer's strike and now even the actor's strike, there's going to be way more focus on watching online content. What's the best way to replace Hollywood writers? Have people write their own things and manufacture their own drama. For those that are making a living on Gran Turismo, I cannot fault them whatsoever for doing that. While again, some people are meant to be hated, they're meant to be the heel, and they've embraced that. Hate the game more. There's heels, there's faces, but again, all this is entertainment, manufactured drama to make more of a profit. None of this has to exist. I've even mentioned that slightly in the past. A lot of this is manufactured and doesn't need to exist. There's no reason for it to exist beyond the profits and the all publicity is good publicity type mindset. But for the foreseeable future, this is how Gran Turismo is. And to me, it ain't worth a yeehaw. To me, I'm done taking the game seriously whatsoever in the vast majority of aspects. But I understand why people are still around at this point. People like the entertainment, people like the chaos, people like the manufactured drama, and I guess to them, if it's worth a yeehaw, good for you. I'm not going to fault you if you still like the game for whatever reason you like it. Just to me, this is not Gran Turismo as it once was. This is professional wrestling in a simulation racing guise. That's all it is at this point.